What's up, guys? Welcome back to Mixed Martial Arts. And yes, I have a new logo. It was designed by my awesome sister with her great artistic skills, and it's now a much better representation of this channel, since it includes the Spider-Man mask and boxing gloves. Today I'm going to discuss UFC 260, which is headlined by the Heavyweight Championship of the world. And just look at how original this poster is on the right. It was designed by Zachary Sandberg. It's an amazing concept, and Ngannou's arms being powered up is a really cool touch too. As you can tell, Zachary Sandberg has an incredible skill at designing posters, so I've included a link to his Twitter page in the video description below, and I highly recommend checking it out. He has tons of other great posters on there too, just like this one. Now on to the fights. The main card is being opened by Jamie Mularkey and Kama Worthy in the lightweight division. Mularkey is 0-2 in the UFC with 2 decision losses. Kama Worthy has a 2-1 record in the UFC, and he's coming off a first round knockout loss to Otman Azaitar. But both of his wins came before this, and they were each impressive. His most recent victory came over Luis Pena by submission due to a guillotine choke. And I think Kama Worthy is going to get the win this Saturday too. So for this fight, I'm picking Kama Worthy. The next fight is Jillian Robertson versus Miranda Maverick. Maverick is coming off her first UFC fight, which she won by doctor stoppage after the first round. And Maverick is a pretty cool name for a fighter too. And Jillian Robertson is an exciting Canadian prospect who made her debut with the UFC on the 26th season of The Ultimate Fighter. I think Jillian Robertson is going to get the win in this fight. She has amazing jiu-jitsu and more experience in the UFC, which I think is going to help her get the victory on Saturday night. And the next fight is incredible between two exciting bantamweights. It's Sean O'Malley versus Thomas Almeida. Almeida was a highly touted prospect as he entered the UFC with a record of 17-0, and he began his UFC stint with 4 straight wins. However, he then lost to Cody Garbrandt and has since gone 1-3 in his last 4 fights. Sean O'Malley had a similar start to his career. He made his debut on Dana White's Contender Series with an impressive first-round knockout. He's had plenty of other highlight reel finishes also from earlier on in his career. O'Malley's known for his flashy fighting style and also his flashy hair. But he's coming off his first professional loss to Marlon Vera. It was a good fight, but O'Malley's foot gave out early due to a leg kick in the first round, which led to him getting finished on the ground as Marlon Vera landed some vicious elbows on him. It was an injury that doesn't happen very often in MMA, but I have seen it happen a few times before, including to Michael Chandler during one of his title defenses in Bellator, which he lost. It also happened to Henry Cejudo in his second fight against Demetrius Johnson, but he's just a machine, and he managed to win the fight against one of the best martial artists ever, despite the injury to his foot. He had a similar situation actually against Marlon Moraes when he won the bantamweight title. He also had an injury. It wasn't the same injury, but he had another injury to his foot in that fight too. And he just showed his toughness because he managed to win that fight as well. Regardless though, Sean O'Malley has been claiming that he is still undefeated because he says he lost the fight by a freak accident. But of course, he did lose the fight fairly, and his injury was caused by Marlon Vera's leg kick. But anyways, this is a strategy that many UFC fighters have used in order to maintain their confidence in their upcoming fights coming off of a loss. Stipe Miocic himself used this strategy as he claimed Cormier won the lottery when he knocked him out. He said it was a fluky win. And George St. Pierre also used this strategy by convincing himself that his loss to Matt Serra was due to him not taking Serra seriously as an opponent. Both Stipe and Serra went on to win the rematches against these opponents. Although O'Malley is doing this a bit more extreme than Stipe Miocic and George St. Pierre by claiming he's still an undefeated fighter, which is a bit much, I do believe that this strategy will work in his favor by allowing him to maintain his confidence and get the win against Almeida. And the next fight is incredible, as Vicente Luque meets Tyron Woodley in the welterweight division. Luque is one of the toughest fighters in this division, even in the entire UFC, and he has phenomenal striking to back this up. He's beat some big names in the division, like Bilal Muhammad, Mike Perry, and Nico Price 2 times. And Tyron Woodley is a seasoned wrestler with great striking and heavy knockout power too, which will make for a great fight. But Woodley and Luque seem to be going in different directions in their career, as Luque is working his way up the division, while Woodley has lost 3 straight fights, and he hasn't even won a single round in those 3 fights, which came against Kamaru Usman, followed by Gilbert Burns, and then Colby Covington. Although Woodley certainly still has the skills to win this fight, I think his tendency to back up against the fence will be his downfall against a pressure fighter like Luque. And this tendency was exploited a lot in his most recent fights, but perhaps the first time it was really noticeable was in this fight against Rory MacDonald. But I think this could be the fight of the night, and who knows, Woodley might turn back the clock and deliver a vintage performance like this one against Robbie Lawler. I'm really looking forward to this matchup. And the main event is just a barn burner, as Stipe Miocic defends his title in a highly anticipated rematch with Francis Ngannou. Stipe used his great head movement in the first fight against Ngannou to avoid his powerful shots. And Stipe landed some big strikes of his own. He's a really good boxer too. Stipe also used his wrestling very often in this fight, landing several takedowns on Ngannou. This made Ngannou visibly fatigued and allowed Stipe to win the fight by unanimous decision. The question is whether Ngannou has developed a strong ability to defend takedowns. If he has, then this fight could be a war on the feet. That would be really interesting to see. Or, of course, Ngannou could finish Stipe early due to his insane power, which we've seen so many times, like in this fight against Alistair Overeem. I think the deciding factor in this fight will be how much Ngannou's wrestling has improved, as nobody really knows what improvements he's made since his first fight against Stipe, except for his coaches, of course. And this is due to his extremely quick fights that never touch the ground. So nobody's seen his fights really touch the ground since his fight against Stipe, and he's only fought, I think, around 4 minutes in total since his loss to Stipe, since his loss to Derek Lewis, I should say, which came after the fight against Stipe. So now he's on a 4-fight winning streak, and his fights are just so fast, nobody's really seen much from him in terms of improvements. Ultimately, I do think Stipe is going to get the win due to his ability to take the fight where he wants it to go, and his more technical striking. But really, anything can happen in this fight because of Ngannou's power, and I just can't wait to see it. So these are my picks for UFC 260. Do you guys agree or disagree? Let me know down in the comments which fights are you most excited for, and the ones that you're most excited to see this weekend. And tell me who you think is going to win these fights. I always enjoy reading and responding to your comments. Also hit the like button if you enjoyed this video, and subscribe to my channel for more content like this. I've also included my Twitter link in the video description below. And you should check out my Twitter because I post updates about my videos, and I also post a lot of polls about MMA and comic book news. And don't forget to follow Zachary Sandberg. He's got some great posters on his Twitter too. I'll see you guys in my next video.